Hi, welcome to episode 2 of our podcast. We're talking about zombies. In this episode, we're going to talk about the evolution of zombies in the media, from horror to what is now comedy, almost. And we're going to talk about just a bit of zombie pop culture. While we enjoy this game, Left 4 Dead, it's about killing zombies. Take it away.
Alright, so I think the evolution of zombies that fascinates me the most is just their speed in general.
Yeah.
Like, you go from the first zombies in Night of the Living Dead, who are just kind of walking very slow.
Right, they're sort of stumbling around.
They don't seem very hard to avoid.
And then you have zombies like I Am Legend, where their virus has made them inhumanly strong and fast.
Yeah, or the other one, 28 Days Later.
Yeah, those zombies I think those are vampires, aren't they?
I think they're ridiculously fast zombies. And I'd like to know where that started, even just the first.
Well, I think probably people got bored with the mundane thrill of the slow zombies that could sneak up on you. People started to brainstorm, well, if I was in that situation, I probably wouldn't fall for that.
Yeah.
And so to keep it interesting, keep it scary, the zombies had to be overwhelmingly strong and fast just to make, because think about it, we have guns. How dangerous is an unarmed, straggler?
Yeah.
In terms of just pure terror, it's not that big a deal.
What's even more interesting is you'd think that people would just all want to see only fast zombies, but then you have shows like The Walking Dead, where, again, slow zombies that seem to kill almost everybody on the show.
Right. And the thing about The Walking Dead that is so bizarre to me is that actually demonstrates the atrophy of the muscles in the zombies that are affected. So
Mm-hmm.
You'll sometimes see a zombie in the show that is ancient, and it'll sort of unbury itself from the dust that has settled on it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of almost just a skeleton with a few strings attached, and yet it's still hissing.
I think that's something new that they introduced is almost like the nutrition of zombies. Like, what happens if they don't eat or don't see anything for a while? Like, do they start to decay even more?
There are a lot of pop media metaphysical approaches to like the phenomenon of zombies, just in terms of like the way they explain it to their audience.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to note that some of them are magical phenomenon where the zombies are purely magically evil. They're sort of like a spiritual zombie. And then there are zombies that have some kind of advanced rabies virus. Or, in Zombieland, it's called Mad Cow turned into Mad Human. And that's sort of the justification.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to talk about how zombies would affect the world, long term, because ultimately they would all basically stop being able to move around. And anyone that has survived probably 30 days would be able to outrun literally any zombie.
Yeah, you would think. But that's implying that all zombies have been made 30 days ago, and there are no new ones.
That's true. I'm just thinking, there are the zombies who are undead.
Mm-hmm.
The Night of the Living Dead, and I think The Walking Dead is a good example of that. But then there are zombies that are a more realistic threat in that they have some kind of virus. I'm not sure if this is a game where they have a virus or if they're undead.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it really clarifies. That's another thing with Night of the Living Dead is that they start coming out of graves and stuff. Like, the already dead people that have been buried are starting to come alive rather than people who have just been bitten. That's not as popular. I don't think I've seen anything recently where dead are coming out of their graves and things like that. It's more the living who gets attacked by a zombie and then becomes a zombie, and that's how zombies are made.
Right. And I don't think, if that's the model for zombies, it's just sort of an unsustainable population model, because people take a really long time to get big enough to be a threat. Mm-hmm. And a zombie can only stay a threat for, at most a couple of months before they really start to wear out. It takes so much, metabolic maintenance. You know, I mean, like from a standpoint of like having had a college level biology class, even if it was a virus that was, you know, mutated a human into some kind of super effective killing machine that loses all human characteristics except its, you know, dangerously effective body, it would still be unsustainable. I mean, the zombies would have to feed themselves, and they would have to have, I mean, it would basically have to be a civilization. I mean, they would have to have tribes, they would have to hunt and gather. The zombies are just not, that type of model is unsustainable. I mean, the only way to really explain them is magic.
I mean, then you're breaking off into another sect of zombies, you know, where they start wielding weapons and stuff.
Right, and you see that a little bit in for example, you know, Nazi zombies, the World at War zombies. You get a little bit of that in.
Yeah, you get some of the special zombies.
I Am Legend is sort of like that. I mean,
yeah, the whole tribes thing.
Right, they have a tribe, and they survive by hunting. They capture a deer, you know, and they feast on it, sort of as a huddled up group, which is a little terrifying. I don't know if we've all seen that scene where he kind of creeps around the corner and sees them. Ugh.
Yeah, and see, I just don't like that. I don't like the idea of them being able to congregate and organize. Yeah, I don't like that idea. I just don't think it makes sense.
Right, because they just couldn't eat enough to sustain. Because, you know, in I Am Legend specifically, the disease makes their heart rate go up a lot, and their muscles sort of have no restraint. So that means they're destroying their muscles pretty quickly, which means they need to rebuild a lot. And basically, they would have to eat a lot more than a normal person just to sustain that. And I mean, they're basically consuming calories like an Olympic athlete, and then they're eating, you know, a deer a week. It's just not sustainable.
Mm-hmm. I just think the whole idea in general, it just, you know, if they could live and decide for themselves, why would they still be deciding to eat people? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
That they're awake enough to start their organization, but they can't help but.
Right, they have a sense of community, and yet they're still eating other humans.
Yeah.
It just is not right. It doesn't sit right with me, you know, intuitively.
Yeah.
All right, that's about it for our show today. We're gonna wrap up here. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the next episode. We're gonna get into a little bit of a hypothetical, talk about zombie fallout maybe in our own lives, and maybe talk about some movies.